Hi guys, it's SkintBoot here, and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is a No Man's Sky video. And in today's video, which is a lot later than usual, I'm going to be looking into the recent developments to do with No Man's Sky VR, and more specifically some new details that have arisen in the past few days. I know that I am very late with this video. I have been doing my final shifts at work before I leave, and generally life has just been a bit hectic, so I haven't been able to, get onto stuff as quickly as I normally do, so I do apologise for that. But anyway, with all of that said and done, please do sit back and relax. Let's get started. Okay, so in case you don't quite know what is going on, we recently learnt that No Man's Sky VR is going to be the second part of the Beyond update coming this summer 2019. Recently, Hello Games have been speaking with the press in order to show off a work in progress build of No Man's Sky VR. A lot of people got to play this for a very short amount of time, and subsequently they were allowed to write articles on No Man's Sky VR. These articles, which have come out mainly yesterday as of recording, have allowed us to get a load more info that we didn't know before. This is where we are going to be getting a lot of the new details, and where we can finally learn some inner workings of how No Man's Sky VR will work. So first of all, one of the biggest additions that comes with No Man's Sky VR that also applies to the base game as well is, of course, more optimization. Now this was a big talk, since day one of No Man's Sky, in terms of how the game doesn't run all that well, especially on PlayStation 4. I have a copy of it on PlayStation 4, and truly it can be unplayable at times with just how absolutely god awful the frame rate is. The community asking for the game to run better is nothing new, and thankfully with No Man's Sky VR, optimization has seen a major improvement. Now the main reason why optimization now has been improved upon is because virtual reality requires a certain frame rate to ensure nausea or just general discomfort doesn't happen. Obviously, if you're playing a VR game at a low FPS, that is just not going to be very nice on the eyes, might create some headaches, and generally just won't be all that enjoyable to play. So for No Man's Sky to work on VR, Hello Games obviously had to ensure that the game runs at a suitable frame rate. We're talking something like 90 FPS, I think it is for virtual reality. So in short, optimization had to be improved. But this doesn't mean that No Man's Sky VR will be the only thing that runs better, because there is, like a 99% chance that this means the base game is also going to run a load better on console and PC. I'm hoping issues with performance in relation to large bases and, dense animals should be fixed, and hopefully the experience will just be a lot cleaner and smoother for all of us. One thing which I will say though is that it is very nice to see that there are improvements not just for VR but the base game as well. You'll come to find that a lot of the changes in No Man's Sky VR also somewhat apply to the base game, so it ensures that there is no real division between the two parts of the game, and of course that is an absolutely amazing thing. So up next are the controls and how things will actually work when playing with a motion tracked version of No Man's Sky. So the details are fairly limited, but they are enough to get a good flavour for how we're going to be playing it in our virtual reality headsets. So from all of these articles, we can get that to get your multi-tool out of your inventory requires a simple hand behind the back gesture, kind of like pulling out something from, like a sheath on the back of your body or some shit like that. And menus are also done by pulling your face up to your hand and using the other hand in order to tap stuff. This is something which a lot of VR games use, especially ones that require guns and, spawning in guns and props and things like that. So this should be a very easy way of getting things done. This way of doing things in virtual reality is quoted as being intuitive and natural, so hopefully things should be quite easy to get into. Now in terms of movement itself, obviously moving in VR is a bit of a, shady area, but No Man's Sky is actually using a teleporting mechanic that resembles something close to Robo Recall. If you have played that, it's a very good VR game, and it basically means that you push the joystick in a general direction and then it will teleport you to wherever you have located. I guess it's not as good as swinging your arms around, but realistically with how fucking big planets are, I don't really think you're going to want to be doing that. Now the same thing goes with vehicles as well. It takes 2 hands to control a ship. One is on the throttle, which will make it move up and down, forwards and what have you, and the joystick will be what direction it goes. Again, there is this heavy emphasis that these controls do not feel out of place or jarring. They will probably take some time to get used to, but they are not uncomfortable. As I said, VR controls are sometimes a little bit strange. I have played many VR games before where the movement is so bad, I simply haven't been able to get into the game. That was like how Pavlov and Onward work, you know, using the joystick just doesn't quite feel right, so teleporting I think is a good way to go. Leading on from this, a lot of sources seem to claim that VR controls are actually better than standard controls and make things a load more interesting. For example, base building is described as more tactical in VR due to the wider FOV, which means it's a lot easier to craft larger buildings. The same thing with flying your ship as well. It feels a lot less automatic and prescribed. It kind of feels like you're doing a lot more and requires a bit more skill. So in short, virtual reality adds depth to things that lack depth in the base game, and this can be seen in some ways as a one-up over the flat screen version. Either way, it's nice to see that Hello Games are actually putting a lot of effort into making sure that No Man's Sky is immersive in virtual reality and doesn't just feel like you're playing the regular game, but with a VR headset slapped over your face. And finally, one of the biggest bits of news which everyone is creaming their pants over are walking NPCs. Walking NPCs have been confirmed through I believe it was a PC Gamer article about No Man's Sky VR. There was this big paragraph talking about how this bloke, you know, went up into a space station and he was walking around and blah 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 blah, but he eventually saw NPCs in space stations were walking around, and this was quoted as feeling a lot more dynamic and alive to see these characters actually, you know, going about their day instead of just sitting motionless and kind of like they've been placed there out of a big prop bin. This is assumed to be for the base game as well. I don't think that this would be some weird VR exclusive, so it is more than likely that Beyond has introduced this to the core game. Now, NPCs walking isn't exactly the most groundbreaking thing going. However, in terms of immersion and community wishes, it's definitely one of the greatest things Hello Games could have done for this update. So guys, that is just about all I have to say for this video. I do hope you enjoyed. As always, please do feel free to put your thoughts in the comment section of the video. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please do feel free to leave a like on it, and if you guys could also subscribe to MZK, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. This is SkintBoot, signing out.